Hello and welcome to TVB News. The police's National Security Department have arrested 6 people on suspicion of posting online articles with seditious intent about the June 4th incident in 1989. They include Chow Hang-tung, the former vice chairman of the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China. This also marks the first time that the police cited Article 23 national security legislation to make arrests. Jackie Lin reports.
Currently being remanded in Thailand prison for other national security cases, Chow Hang-tung, the former vice chairman of the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China, was arrested by National Security Police. Chow, along with 4 other women and a man, was accused of continuously publishing online posts with seditious intent anonymously since April, taking advantage of a certain sensitive date that is imminent.
This group of people is using a Facebook page in the social media to advocate hatred.
Established in mid-May last year, the social media page has 6,500 followers and more than 4,000 likes. The administrator of the social media page is said to be in the UK now. Over the past month, the page saw new articles published almost every day. They included sharings of past mourning for the June 4th incident, but no obvious words of subversion could be seen. When asked if citizens can no longer pay tribute to people who died in the incident or mention the date June 4th, the security chief said it's not against the law to mention the sensitive date.
They're relating, to a forthcoming sensitive date. But I would like to reiterate that it's not the main crime is not about the subject. It's about they're utilizing the subject, and during which they make incited hatred against the central government and our Hong Kong government and the judiciary.
As for whether Chow, who is being remanded in custody, has instructed the other people to make posts during their visitation, Tang said no details can be reviewed now, but authorities would disclose more information in court after the prosecution is made. This also marks the first time the government invoked legislation on Article 23 of the Basic Law to make arrests. The maximum penalty for the offense of acts with seditious intent is 7 years imprisonment. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
A number of students at a Tsinwan secondary school played the national anthem while causing a disturbance in their classroom. The Education Bureau demanded that the school submit a report with details of the situation. A video posted online showed a student kneeling in front of her teacher in a classroom at Lung Sik Tak College. The student ignored the teacher's instruction for her to return to her desk. A separate individual played the national anthem during the incident, during which the girl kicked a desk repeatedly. The secondary school confirmed the incident took place in October last year and already took action to counsel the female student. The Education Bureau stressed the playing of the national anthem is a solemn event and residents must act with dignity during the occasion under the National Anthem Ordinance. Secretary for Environment and Ecology Tse Chin-wan stressed the postponement of the municipal solid waste charging scheme does not mean the government is abandoning the measure. He said the scheme could be implemented in several phases in the future and hinted at the possibility that residents will not be charged. Timothy Lee tells us more.
政府會暫緩喺8月1日實施垃圾收費。
Speaking at the Legislative Council yesterday, Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration Warner Chuk announced the postponement of the municipal solid waste charging scheme, which was set to begin on August 1st. The decision was made after the scheme experienced a number of delays and voices of rejection among the public. But Secretary for Environment and Ecology Tse Chin-wan emphasized the government has no intention to abandon the idea of a waste charging scheme. He noted the city should instead prioritize the reduction of waste and increase recycling facilities at the moment. The government said it will step up efforts to improve education and promotion of recycling in the SAR, as well as distribute 20 designated garbage bags to each public housing tenant on a monthly basis starting next month. This measure will continue for half a year. The Secretary for Environment and Ecology also said residents may not necessarily be charged for the waste disposal scheme in the future. He pointed to methods adopted by other countries, adding that the city could learn from their measures. This, as some environmental groups believe, the government should place a stronger emphasis on the responsibility of manufacturers, such as urging the latter to reduce the amount of packaging. Meanwhile, lawmaker Lau Kwok-fon suggests that authorities could better utilize the city's garbage incinerators as a means of waste disposal. He said the government should work with the business sector to come up with innovative ways to increase recycling in the city. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Strong gales and heavy rain triggered by the first major cyclone this year lashed the coastlines of India and Bangladesh, killing at least 16 people. Coastal villages were flooded with thatched roofs blown away and leaving people without power in southern Bangladesh. Nearly 800,000 residents evacuated ahead of Cyclone Ramal. The storm surge damaged and washed away flood protection embankments, leaving villages flooded. In India's West Bengal state, high winds uprooted power poles and trees. At least 4 people were electrocuted. The wind packed speeds of up to 135 kilometers per hour. Welcome back. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has signed a security agreement with Spain during his visit to Madrid. The accord will help his country fight its more than 2-year war with Russia amid a recent offensive by the Kremlin's forces. This as Ukraine's prime minister will meet a group of EU leaders in Prague today to discuss military aid to Kyiv. Tracy Furness has more.
Spain's King Felipe VI met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the capital's Baracas airport on Monday. He walked past an honor guard before being whisked away to meet with Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. Zelensky secured a pledge from Spain of additional air defense missiles to help fight the 3,000 bombs he says Russia launches every month at Ukraine. The two leaders signed a bilateral security agreement that allocates €1 billion in military aid to Ukraine in 2024 and €5 billion by 2027. More Leopard tanks and artillery ammunition also feature in the package.
Today,
the government of Spain renews its commitment to contribute to the security and defense of Ukraine against Putin's aggression, which is why we have just signed a political security agreement, Sanchez said. Later in the day, Zelensky was greeted by King Felipe and Queen Letizia at the Madrid Royal Palace. The king told Zelensky that Spain would work ceaselessly to help bring peace to the people of Ukraine. Meanwhile, at least 3 people were killed and 6 injured following a Russian airstrike in Ukraine's southern Mykolaiv region. Missiles hit a self-service car wash and a nearby cafe. Rescuers were seen carrying a body from a destroyed building and were working to put out a fire and clear rubble from the site. In Kharkiv, Ukraine's soldiers are battling Russian forces day and night in an effort to stop their advance. Officials say Moscow's forces are continuing to try and breach defences in the region around Ukraine's second-largest city. This, as Zelensky said last week, that Ukrainian forces have secured combat control of areas where Russian troops entered the Kharkiv region. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
The government is planning to develop the southern part of Lantau Island into an eco-recreational corridor. Some lawmakers have raised concern about whether the local environment will be negatively impacted by the increased people flow. Several local residents are worried the increase of private property development in the area will ruin the area's scenery. Timothy Lee reports.
Lantau Island has always been popular among residents as a nature lover's paradise. Home to Hong Kong's longest natural beach and Lantau Peak, many visit the island to catch the sunrise. The Development Bureau is aiming to implement its Development in the North, Conservation for the South development plan by turning the south of the island into an eco-recreational corridor. The development area includes Puyo, Cheungsha, Shuihao, and the Shekpik Reservoir. Each location will feature unique facilities. An education corridor as well as a campsite will be built in Puyo. A water sports facility will be built on Cheungsha as well as a family playground. In Shuihao, authorities will construct an education center while a culture and arts installation will be featured around the Shekpik Reservoir. The government will also increase the amount of water transport and bus services to the area.
生意模式咧就係規範化啦，係。
Meanwhile, Han Shenfei, Island's district councillor, said he is worried the development of the area will primarily benefit private property developers and high-income individuals. Authorities expect the number of visitors to the area during the holidays will rise from the current 2,000 per day to a maximum of 6,000. Despite positive projections of tourism figures, some lawmakers raise concerns about the development site's effect on the environment.
讓呢啲咁嘅人數咧係受到限制。
Lawmaker Chen Hok-feng said he does not want the eco-recreational corridor to transform into rapid development that damages the local habitat. He further suggested visits to the area should require prior registration to prevent overcrowding. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
A leading international wine and spirits trade show in Asia, the VinExpo has returned to Hong Kong. Jackie Lin was at the event.
VinExpo Asia has made a comeback to Hong Kong after the pandemic and after being relocated to Singapore last year. Listed as a mega event by the government, the three-day trade show brings together more than 1,300 exhibitors from 40 countries and regions. One-third of the exhibitors are from France.
Last year, a total of 7.5 billion Hong Kong dollar worth of wine was imported to Hong Kong, primarily from France and Australia, and we re-exported a total of 2.9 billion of wine, primarily to the mainland, Macau, and Singapore. One interesting point to note is that the value of Chinese wines imported to Hong Kong recorded an 84% increase, while the re-exports surged by 130%.
This booth sells wine made in Yunnan.
China has a beautiful capacity to produce very high-level, high-end wine. The Yunnan area, we have a beautiful terroir and climate, so it's very good for producing high-end wines.
From China, they would like to have some wine that are like, for example, the price to quality ratio is higher, and we hope to bring in the curation as a set that would really feed the Chinese market needs from the north to the south.
Also at the scene were Australian government trade agents hoping to tap the Chinese market through Hong Kong after Beijing removed the 200% tariffs on their wine in March.
Well, we're absolutely delighted that the tariffs are off and that Australian wine will be available to Chinese consumers again.
This Australian wine merchant added that to clear the inventory from before the tariff was lifted, some wine will be sold at a cheaper rate before prices normalize. Entry to the show is free if pre-registered before 27th, but during the three-day event, visitors will have to pay at the entrance.
The three-day exhibition will end on May 30th. Admission tickets are priced at $300. Visitors can also attend the VinExpo Academy with wine tasting classes taught by trade professionals. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.